What's good, ladies and gentlemen? I haven't done a public rant in almost a week, and I know alternate reality really shifted the landscape when you're talking about covering Big Brother moving forward, especially this season. I gave the Patron Streets another classic on Saturday night with Friendly Fire. This rant will be a continuation of that one. I was smart enough to wait until Sunday afternoon to deliver that rant, knowing we'd get some drama on Sunday. And now I'm happy that I plan to do a rant tonight because production once again has left the casual fan with tons of questions because they have to deal with another cliffhanger designed for production to have an extra day to try to doctor up what really happened this past week. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, tonight in my 27th rant of Big Brother 24, it is very important for me to give you all the truth, give you all the real edit, give you all the honesty and the candor that you all become quite accustomed to here at Recency Bias Radio. Understand the reason why this rant is entitled Jounin's Justice is quite self-explanatory. A week ago, I said I was hoping that Joseph would have one of those honorable exits out of this game like Jiraiya, because he had all of this weight on his shoulders. He couldn't afford to match Kyle's petty. And because of that, he had to leave and turn the other cheek, if you will. Well, because he went out with so much class, because he did not give the Turners, the Alyssas, the Terrences, and the Kyles of the world even more ammunition to throw him under the bus with, it really made everything they tried to frame Joseph in fall on its head as soon as Kyle got exposed for playing the racist game he played. Understand, in this rant, we're going to expose the grand battle of grifting that has popped off over the last 4 days. Understand, Michael wants the narrative to be he's this white savior who saved black players from Kyle as if this is the Emancipation Proclamation of Big Brother US. But the truth is, if you've been watching these feeds carefully, you know the truth. Monty is the true hero. And in tonight's rant, I'm going to explain why. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the critically acclaimed, the Pop the Trunk podcast, now Patreon exclusively sponsored Hall of Fame, Recency Bias Radio, where no one is safe from criticism. I'm, of course, your humble host, Dave Smith, Pretty Boy Smitty, Protocol Paul, Pearl Game, Ultra, Smith Dog Trio, The Rant God, Hotep Thanos, Throne Thanos, Metro Kaiba, the Pro Black Prodigy, the Shadow Realm Shaman, the Pronoun Punisher, the No Sleep Assassin, the Apex Analyst, he who cannot be canceled, here to bring balance back to Big Brother 24, because there's way too many cliffhangers that we can take anymore. All of the above on that ISAT test and ACT hardcore. You know what it is. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to provide this rant for the public, because you all need to know through chronological order why Monty is getting so much credit for me. Understand, earlier in the season, I held him quite accountable. He was in an inferno of his own, and then he redirected that hellfire and brimstone towards Miss Hale herself. And Hale has had no fury this season. Everyone who has crossed Taylor has been hit with karma directly. I'm talking straight to the life points, coach. Yu-Gi-Oh settings. You feel it, dig me? They're in the shadow realm after coming at the queen. They best not miss. And understand the shadow duel that is being played this week. It feels like Michael is Pegasus, Yugi boy. And it feels like, to some extent, Kyle is Seto Kaiba in a sense, because he's willing to do whatever it takes by hook or crook to get them star chips to save Mokuba. Now, in this case, I guess Mokuba would be Alyssa, but I digress. Now, understand, the reason why this is a grand battle of grifting going on is because Michael and Brittany were perfectly fine with the anti-black tactics to the point where they worked in lockstep by isolating Joseph from the rest of his people of color allies. They set him up in a 52 fake out to go home last week. Only because Michael became the target of this week before Monty did Michael decide to unleash the kraken of anti-blackness back on Kyle DeMort. That's the only reason, coach. But it needs to be stated, if it was not for Monty's exceptional gameplay from Thursday night up until now, understand Monty would have been the easy target because Turner had that guilt in his heart for how he did Joseph. He knew Monty was closer to Joseph than Michael ever was. And that's exactly why Michael waited to see what the initial noms would be before he decided to out Kyle. All of this is grifting. I'm not falling for it. And I'm here to tell you, if you're a casual fan and you don't know how these feeds are going, Michael and Brittany have been exposed by now, and I'm going to get to that. But you have to understand this. Monty pushing hard for the pound even after Joseph was done dirty. Him being unwilling to be emotional after not seeing Joseph walk back into that house. Him keeping the door open to be willing to let bygones be bygones. He gave himself the opportunity to not be a target over Michael by pushing the pound so hard. That allowed him to dodge the smoke because obviously Brittany, Michael, and Taylor have a threesome. A lot of fans were mad at Monty because he had to bash Taylor because she was part of that trio. But if you understand Monty's game, he can't act like he's super close to Taylor in front of these anti-black folks. They'll just target Monty anyway. And at the end of the day, the great gameplay Monty used this week, turning Michael into a target in his stead, is the only reason why Michael became pro-black on the fly, which inadvertently saved Taylor's game. So it's important for me to mention, Monty, this is cause and effect, baby. If Monty doesn't play as well as he does, Turner doesn't betray Michael so quickly. If Turner doesn't betray Michael, Michael doesn't out Kyle, Taylor is not still here tomorrow night. So, listen, I'm someone who believes the fair credit needs to be given out to every player. And Monty did a great job of disarming his enemy. He had a feeling Kyle wasn't shit. He knew since last week, if Joseph don't come back, I know Kyle ain't shit. He knew it. Now, Terrence, he muddied the waters a bit by using the veto, taking Turner off, never letting Alyssa to touch. Understand, Terrence set himself up to be the scapegoat. And see, this is why I think Terrence is tweaking so hard this week. And that's why I got to hold Terrence accountable, coach. You know, I've been trying my best to be as fair as possible. And see, Terrence, I got to ask questions about you, bro. When Kyle gets exposed for playing anti-black, when you find out he lumped in every person of color as having to be in an alliance, despite the fact that he knew you were after Monty, by the way, he still divided and conquered there. For me to see Terrence, of all people, after Kyle gets exposed, understand, Terrence now knows that the mastermind gameplay he thought he was playing a week ago at Direfest is now heavily hated by the majority of fans because Kyle's been exposed as anti-black and racist. So, understand, Terrence had an opportunity this week to cop please. He had an opportunity to rebrand and grift on the fly just like these white folks are right now. Terrence, I don't want to be lumped in with Kyle. And to be fair to you, Turner, you didn't take the deal, the all-white alliance, when it was first offered to you. But you knew about it. This isn't your first time hearing about it when Michael mentions it. Exposed. Alyssa, same thing. Your game was in such rocky footing, you started giving up Jasmine's game and Indy's because you were all in on the all-white alliance too. Exposed. Production's not going to show those flashbacks, but they're quick to show Joseph's flashbacks in the backyard to make it seem like he ain't shit for giving up Taylor, Brittany, and Michael, when in all reality, Joseph gave up those players as a last-ditch effort because he knew this was the only chance I got to stay. And listen, I would have preferred for Joseph to not say that much. But with that said, the man had to try to stay. We don't want him to just keel over and die either. So from my point of view, I'm not even that mad at Joseph at the end of the day because Kyle got exposed. But my problem is with you, Terrence. Because it feels like you want the credit so much for getting out Joseph that you don't want all the blame to be on Kyle because you feel like that's Kyle's move for getting out Joseph for being racist. And you don't want the narrative to be you were manipulated by a racist. So all you want to do is give out second chances to Kyle, even though it doesn't make sense. Literally, if you allow Kyle to hold his own nuts, I believe the black community would forgive you. It's that simple. Monty has literally started off this game as being in the Terrence box, and he slowly but surely worked his way into being in the, he's apologized several times profusely for different reasons. He's saying that girls were just jealous of Taylor all along. Sure, fans would like to see Monty offer Taylor a final two so she can 100% turn on Michael and Brittany. But until that day comes, I see no problem with the game Monty is playing. Because here's the thing. Since Taylor's HOH, Monty has had her back the most because Joseph ain't been with her since her HOH. It's been Monty and Taylor, homie. That's how I see it. Now, some fans are choosing not to give Monty his credit. And listen, I don't get that either. I feel like for this week, if there are people that are withholding credit from Monty, I don't get it. Because if you're a fan of Taylor, you should be willing to give him credit. Because I tell you this. Once again, if Monty doesn't play the way he plays it to start off with, Michael isn't put in the corner back against the wall settings willing to give up his fellow anti-black player. And see, here's the thing. A meeting happened. Now, the meeting wasn't shown tonight because the cliffhanger happened. The meeting will be shown tomorrow night. During this meeting, Kyle exposed everything. His final 2 deal with Turner. He exposed After Party with Terrence, Alyssa, and Turner in it. Now, we saw him bring Monty into the fold with After Party, and here's the crazy part. After Kyle's been exposed, Alyssa, to some degree, still wants to work with Monty, Terrence, and Turner because she feels guilty about giving the box to a bigot. So understand, Alyssa, from this point further, post-Kyle leaving, to my knowledge, based off the feeds, she's more loyal to Monty, Terrence, and Turner than Michael's trio. So that's how the game seems to be splitting down. Now, here's the thing. In my opinion, even though Monty is after Michael, and we need to get into why Monty's after Michael, why Terrence is mad at Michael and Brittany. They're mad at them for the same reasons every black fan should be mad at them. They're mad at them for the same reason why black fans should hope that Taylor eventually doesn't go to Final 3 with those two, because they're very performative. Understand, when the meeting happened, Terrence called out Michael and Brittany. So y'all were sitting on this information for 2 weeks and y'all ain't say nothing? See, now, I think Terrence had an ulterior motive. I think deep down in his heart of hearts, he wanted to paint a narrative about the trio being untrustworthy to try to convince Monty to vote out Taylor. Monty was never going to vote out Taylor this week. That needs to be stated. Terrence is the one trying his best to cop all the pleas underneath the sun to save Kyle. It's embarrassing, coach. It's embarrassing. This guy has done more to try to heal Kyle's wounds this week than he's done for Taylor all season, and she's been stumped out damn near every week this season. If that don't show you the real problem here, nothing else will, brother. This is why Hannah on Twitter says Chicago don't claim you. It's looking bad out here in these streets for you. But I don't want to lose myself in the music. Understand. Michael and Brittany thought that they could expose racist gameplay, but not have to confront the idea that they sat on this information and only used it when they had no other choice. Turner tonight mentioned it. I don't think it's that fair that they could just sit on this and then use it all of a sudden when Taylor's in harm's way. Now we have to save Taylor because, listen, from a certain perspective, I could see why someone non-black would view them as being not only traitorous, but also as being massive hypocrites. As a black fan of this game, they're massive hypocrites. But with that said, if Michael and Brittany were the only 2 people who could have exposed Kyle, because no one black could have done it and been believed, it needed to be someone white. And oftentimes we complain that there isn't enough allies willing to stick their neck out like Kiefer did. So listen, I'm going to give Michael and Brittany credit for doing something, because in the past 20 years, we've had players that didn't do shit with information. Huh? Don't get me started on the Nicole A's of the world that got to play during BB22, never outed Jackson Mickey, huh? Never outed the other Jack, huh? Players that were willing to go to the end with racists and not think twice about it, but somehow they're fan favorites. Listen, I've seen a lot of people who claim to be allies of the past allow a lot of messed up stuff, or at the minimum enable it if it benefits their game. We've seen this during BB19, for example. Josh the buffoon, he allowed Dominique to be treated like dog crap. Blackface the whole 9 with Paul Beta-Hamian. He still made it to Final 2 and ended up beating Paul. So it benefited him because he made the money, but he also capitalized off of racism to win that money. And that's why black people to this day have never really gave Josh the benefit of the doubt, because we saw what he was unwilling to do. He was unwilling to put integrity before the money. And if you're willing to put the money before integrity, it tells us you're willing to sell your soul at any price. That's why for me, as a black fan of this game, to see Terrence out here tweaking, to see Spoiler Girl exposing herself. Now, I gotta show this, because I've been telling y'all, see, this was before this even happened. I said, man, I think Spoiler Girl is a production plant. I think she is placed there to keep false hope going, but I think deep down she's a voice for production, and everything she says, or it could be a he for all we know. I've never seen no picture to know the person's identity necessarily, not that I have to know it, but what would compel someone during a week like this, when a man gets exposed for racism, to come out the woodwork talking about it would be best to evict Taylor? She has 3 jury votes. And who does Kyle beat in Final 2? Answer, no one. See, you got to pay close attention to people like this. Now, this is the other comment. I would drag Kyle to the end and ask the jury, me or someone who made these comments. Now, someone commented underneath, the shout outs to this, she says, so you would weaponize racism to win the game? So what you got to understand is there are a lot of non-black fans who are performing just as much as Michael and Brittany are this week, as much as Turner and Alyssa are this week, that are making it seem like they're happy Kyle got his just desserts. But deep down in their heart of hearts, they're just like Terrence. They would like Kyle to stay this week too. But wanting Kyle to stay the 1 week he's sitting on the block next to Taylor is even more malicious because it tells us you weren't a real fan of the 7, which was the most likable alliance of the season. Because the alliance gave credit to Kyle for rallying behind Taylor, and now you want Kyle to outlast Taylor after being racist? And his racism directly impacted her game the most, coming off her HOH win to take out Joseph, who could have been her showmance. But these are the same fans claiming that they're supporting Taylor, that they're inclusive, that they're allies. Come on, man. You're basically telling the entire world you're willing to reward Kyle with second place money before you're willing to reward someone black with second place money after being victimized by Kyle's racist gameplay. That's what you're saying. You're saying you would rather have Kyle get rewarded for his game than have someone be rewarded for being mistreated by Kyle. Do you not understand how toxic that is? See, a lot of these people online are tone deaf, man. If you let them talk long enough, they'll talk themselves into their own burial. Kalia's tweaking online. Now, she's apologized now, and that's why I'm not going to bring up her tweets. But just know, there got to a point where I felt like Kalia, there was too much dip on a chip.
Brother, whoa. Now, you got too
much dip on your chip. Let's just say the black community humbled her a little bit. Now, listen, to a certain extent, I still believe she's trying to play on another season. But Kalia, you're coming off a little jealous of Taylor. Oh, where were y'all when I played the game? Y'all acting like Taylor's really being treated so bad, blah, blah, blah. You want some back in my day shit. I mean no disrespect, with all due respect, but what happened in your time is irrelevant to what's happening to her right now. Your time was the Stone Age, coach. That's why we don't bring it up. We don't want to go back there, bruh. We don't. And I'm sorry you was put through trauma during that age. But post-cookout, we're in a golden age. And I'm sorry, but your tweets feels like you trying to use your gravitational pull to drag us back to the Stone Age. With all due respect, Kalia, you got to relax. You got to relax. All right? We're seeing alumni get exposed as being jealous of Taylor. It's insane. Listen, I can admit she could be a better player. But damn, some of the reasons why some of these alums, even Spoiler Girl, is beginning to hate on her. It's nonsensical. It's nonsensical. And besides, there's plenty of goats still in the house for you to take the final 2. Why does it have to be Kyle? No matter how you shake it, it feels like y'all relate more to what Kyle's going through traumatically than you've ever related to Taylor. Because even though Taylor's trauma keeps rolling over like Singular Wireless minutes, y'all act like with each month it's a clean slate for her. Meanwhile, Kyle, this is the first bit of adversity he's had all season. Last week, he was on the floor chuckling at how easy the game was. He gets hit with some adversity. Oh, we need to protect him. We don't want to just send him out into the world after this experience. Terrence talking to Monty like, why don't we keep him around a little bit in this game? That way he can learn from this by being around us a little bit longer. And Kyle coming up with these random fan fiction stories talking about, oh, because I grew up in Utah, I was around nobody black. Listen, I believe it. At the beginning of the season, I said the population of white folks in Utah is way too high. But with that said, coach, you hit it off with Monty very well at the beginning of this season. So you don't have the excuse of, oh, because I ain't that cool with black people, my game fell off a cliff. Nah, bruh. You got selfish, like a lot of players do. You chose your showmance, you know, the great all-American showmance, just because both of y'all were lily white. Oh. See, it's real hard, Kyle, for you to come up with these excuses, talking about you were just this ignorant white guy, who's been on Earth for 30 years, by the way. He's not 15, but the guy keeps acting like he's not in control of his faculties. But we have multiple sound bites of him going out of his way, even after being warned of the optics, to still be anti-black, to still keep that white alliance, and he even named the alliance the silent majority. I can't get over that detail. Sorry, coach. You went out of your way to be a problem. And only because the jig is up do you regret your decision making. Only because Michael became a target over Monty does he regret his decision making. And see, this is the problem, right? A lot of people only dislike racism when they can't benefit from it. Black people, we don't have that luxury of determining when we want to benefit from racism because oftentimes we're always on the violent end of it. See, no matter how you shake it, there is white privilege in Kyle being able to pick and choose when he wants to confront his own trauma. It's white privilege in Kyle believing he can wait 2 days before having a conversation with Taylor on feeds because he feels too uncomfortable. Oh, my soul. Oh my God. The pain. Oh my God. The sorrow. What have you been playing? Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater? You feel a dig me? Now, that's an underrated joke. You'll get it later, kids. You'll get it later. Understand. This guy thinks we should feel sorry for him. And see, I got to give production some credit here. I got to give y'all some credit. Last week I said you better be careful. If Taylor or Monty does not win that HOH, if they don't go Naruto and Hinata, y'all ain't getting nobody paying for Paramount Plus in September. And boy, I got to give production some credit. You know why? You know why, coach? They made a business decision, didn't they? Boy, they threw Kyle under that magic school bus. They made one of them. You would have thought Derrick Henry was running down the field the way they said, nah, I'm not going in for the tackle. You would have thought they was Cam Newton at the Super Bowl the way they didn't try to pick that fumble up. Understand, Kyle fumbled, the Mon won. And literally, production is Cam looking at the ball and going, you know what? Let's let Kyle get sent to the shadow rail. Let's let the Sharks get his ass. You feel a dig me, coach? Exposed. The same production team that loved looking out for you this entire game, Kyle, they realized we need them Paramount Plus subscriptions more than we need this white showmance or this white guy who's too much trouble for his worth. Understand, Kyle, they threw your ass away as quick as you've thrown away all your alliances. How does it feel? Huh? Don't feel that good, do it? To be expendable. Taylor tonight, she even told us, she's like, it's so sad that someone like Kyle, who I thought I knew, would be so quick to throw away such a good thing. And for what? Just to target nothing but black people and have an all-white alliance? Like, you could see the disappointment in these people's face. They're looking at these people like, dog, we gave y'all the opportunity to be invited to infinite cookouts the rest of y'all life. I'm talking free food every summer. You said, nah, I'm cool. I'm cool, bruh. I'm cool. That's insane to me, dog. Like, for real, though. Production did you dirty, dog. Listen, they did you as dirty as you was prepared to do Mike this week. You feel it, dig me? Like, y'all look crazy in these streets. Y'all look crazy. You know what this remind me of? Y'all watch The Boys. Y'all watch The Boys on Amazon. Well, in the recent season, Giancarlo Esposito's character, he made a deal with one character in this group. This group was called Payback. Think of it as a Big Brother alliance, if you will. Now, in Payback, they had this star player, this dude named Soldier Boy. And no connection to Watch Me Crank That. Superman, no correlation. But there was this dude named Soldier Boy. Racist guy. Very similar to Kyle DeMore, if I'm being honest. Production had his back, covered up all of his dirty deeds to the public, made him seem like he could do no wrong. A lot like the Big Brother 24 edit, huh? Well, the funny thing about the show The Boys, and the reason why this analogy is so spot on, ladies and gentlemen, is because eventually Payback turned on Soldier Boy. And it feels like, in a sense, production talked Michael into turning on Kyle for Paramount Plus subscriptions in September for the same reason Giancarlo Esposito convinced Black Noir to turn on Soldier Boy. Like, honestly, y'all tell me this ain't the same exact situation. Soldier Boy turns around, he sees his allies turning on him. He's like, what the hell is this shit? And then before you know it, they getting it cracking. That was the rest of the leftovers dog walking you this week, Kyle. They dog walked you, all right? And it was long overdue, bruh. You could have let Joseph make it out of last week. You could have let him make it, but you were jealous of the Jounin's chakra. You were jealous he had a Keke Genkai that he achieved without being a snake like your Orochimaru looking ass. Huh? Let's talk about it tonight. Don't think I called it Jounin's justice and we not bringing the Naruto analogies to your face. See, Kyle was hoping production would look out for him. Use a reanimation jitsu for a battle back. It's not happening, coach. It's not happening. Even Joseph fans don't want to battle back because we know he don't win comps. We don't want to see you again after this week. Except finale night. We'll see you again that night and hopefully Julie holds you accountable. Because I want to see this boy get roasted. I want to see him get air fried. And listen, I've said everyone deserves a second chance in life. Don't get the game twisted. But what I don't like is that when it's time to hold someone non-black accountable, everybody got their capes out, huh? Justice League. But when someone black is out here getting stumped out in the wrestling room, when Daniel was quick to shit on Taylor's life over a comment she said in good spirit towards Nicole, where was the Terrences of the world saying, hey, Daniel, calm down, bro. Hey, Nicole, you need a Snickers bar. You're not you and you're hungry, man. Where was that at, T? Huh? Oh, it only exists when it's time to cop pleas for someone that ain't black. And see, you told us you was after Joseph because of Mojo. But now you going out of your way to fight so hard to protect Kyle, knowing he got exposed for racism, knowing it absolves you for getting out Joseph so you can pad your resume without having the blood, you still being willing to voluntarily keep the blood and voluntarily being viewed as the racist puppet of Kyle. I don't understand the logic behind that. I don't get it. And see, all this does is prove to everyone what I said last week was true. Terrence don't know what he's doing in this game. The people who said he was a great player only said that because he was being anti-black. Now this week, he's the only one giving Kyle any type of sympathy. But let's be real. If anyone should be giving Kyle sympathy, it shouldn't be Terrence. Because Terrence now should know he was tokenized. Terrence now should know if this anti-black strategy was going on well before he ever won any power to pivot with, then he was used as a cog in the wheel of racism. He's the last guy who should be on a soapbox trying to justify how he got played. Seriously. No matter how you shake it, this is an L, Terrence. It's an L. You know, Taylor, I 100% can understand where she's coming from. Why should it be incumbent upon her? Why should it be her responsibility to make you feel better with your racist actions towards her? You decided to cross an alliance just because you were jealous of a guy flirting with her when you had a woman. You portray one of the most likable entities I've seen in the last 20 years just to be one of the most easily hateable entities in existence. For Kyle to create the narrative because he grew up in Utah, his game spiraled out of control like this, is hogwash. But this is why I want to give Monty the credit and his roses this week. Because him and Terrence, they both see Michael and Brittany for the grifters they are. It seems like Terrence and Monty are after Michael next week. Seems like if Turner had it his way, he'd be okay with Michael leaving this week. Understand, Michael and Brittany, they're trying to have an all-white alliance of their own with Turner and Alyssa heading into next week. So understand, Michael and Brittany will call out Kyle for this, but they'll literally try to do the same thing when he's 1 foot out the door. It's despicable. It's disgusting, man. So listen, I think I've been very fair tonight. I've given credit to them for being willing to do things other people wouldn't consider. But in the same light, they wouldn't have even considered this if Monty's game, pushing the pound so strong, didn't lead to Michael being the clear target, which led to him needing to win Veto just to push this narrative. That's important, ladies and gentlemen. So at the end of the day, I really do believe Monty went Naruto this week. I think he did fulfill the prophecy, okay? He unleashed some of that nine-tailed chakra. I'm keeping it real in these streets. I would like to see, once again, him and Taylor to have a final two of some sort. But I understand for Taylor's game, it's best for her to keep trying to play both sides. But Taylor needs to be careful, though. Playing both sides with her type of a game could be bad for her in the long run as well. Now, here's the thing. I've given men credit for playing both sides. I'm not saying Taylor is wrong for playing both sides. I'm just saying I don't know if she understands the game enough to play both sides well enough. There has been moments where she could have played both sides by withholding information from Brittany and Michael about Monty. She keeps telling them information. And listen, I personally believe for Taylor's game, she should want Monty and Michael to make it further than Turner, Terrence, and Alyssa. It doesn't behoove her to keep telling Michael and Brittany reasons to target Monty. It doesn't behoove her to, well, she can't really convince Monty to not target Michael at this point because Monty knows Michael was in on the anti-black gameplay, and Monty knows he was likely behind what happened to Joseph too because he picked the teams. So you got to understand, I believe Monty, in his heart of hearts, he does want to take Taylor very far in this game, possibly Final 3, maybe not Final 2. But all I care about right now is the fact that they're on the same page. Monty is not doing what Terrence is prepared to do. Monty has never considered voting out Taylor, okay? That's important. And I think the fact that Monty has shown the type of progress and evolution in this game, it is a positive omen for the future of the rest of this season. Because if Monty is playing such a codified game, if now he's aware of the fact that Kyle would do him that dirty when they were day one allies, now Monty is now free to play how he wants to play. And during tonight's episode, he told us he no longer has any loyalty to the pound because of what Kyle was willing to do. That means he no longer has loyalty to Turner either. On feeds, it seems like Monty is loyal to Turner, but he told us tonight he really ain't, which tells me he's actually loyal to Taylor, which is great. So, listen, I think from a black fan perspective, this week couldn't have been better. Kyle got exposed. The black players are getting closer. Listen, Terrence exposed himself. It is what it is. We're gonna have to.
I gotta check the coons. I gotta do a coon analysis and a coon
We're gonna need the screening because I don't know what he doing, coach. But with that said, though, if you were to tell me that Monty would come around to sing the light, but Terrence would still be a lost cause, I'd take that trade-off every time because Monty is more well-equipped to do what needs to be done. Now, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. I think heading into next week, I think Michael's the easy house target, but because Turner decided to go through with the plan of betraying Kyle, a very similar move to Gino betraying Kyle during BB Can 10, I feel as if Turner next week with a lot of players shall be safe. The only player I think that goes after Turner next week is possibly Taylor, to be honest. Or maybe, I don't know if maybe Monty would if he can't get Michael. Maybe he would take Turner out. I'm not sure. But the scary thing is, now that Kyle is gone, right? The narrative at first was, hey, maybe we should keep Kyle because we need people who can win comps to beat out Michael later. Monty's an alpha, literally. He's an alpha. He's okay with facing people mano-a-mano. He's not the same type of lemon booty as the rest of y'all were in the 7, and that's why you turned. Monty's willing to scrap it out in Final 6, if need be. Well, I guess now Final 5 because Kyle is leaving. But I don't believe this 5 will make Final 5 at all. I don't believe it for a second. I think Alyssa's too weak. I think Terrence is too much of an easy black target for Michael and Brittany because they can't really afford to target Monty and Taylor a week after revealing what Kyle did to their games, which crippled their games to an extent by getting Joseph out. I think this forces Michael and Brittany to target Terrence because they like Alyssa. They'll probably use Alyssa as a pawn to get out Terrence, give Turner a week off. And I think if Terrence wins the veto, I think they could try to backdoor Monty in that situation. But I think in all likelihood, Michael and Brittany will probably try to get Terrence out first, just to have that 1 week. Now, based off Spoiler Girl, it seems like next week could be another double eviction. So a week from tomorrow, we could be down to Final 5 already. So that's another thing y'all need to pay attention to heading into next week. But other than that, I think I've pretty much riddled off all of my thoughts. Now I'm ready to answer y'all questions and hear what y'all think about this game, huh? I didn't want to leave any stone unturned before I came to answer y'all questions. And now I'm ready to hear what y'all think about this game. Please put your comments and your questions below, and let's discuss this game at a high frequency, coach. Oh, and one more thing. when Kyle was trying to talk to Taylor and he was using the white girl crying technique to his advantage. This was Taylor's face. That face reminds me last year of Ozza. Remember how I showed y'all Ozza's face in the HOH room? Was she staring at Kyland? I think she was mad at Kyland over something. Was that week 2? Or was that week 6? She was pissed off at Kyland about something. She was just like... That was basically Taylor's reaction to Kyle trying to grift. Listen, the grand battle of grifting might work on certain players, but Taylor's completely over it. And listen, Taylor, I respect the fact that you were willing to stay on that block because you didn't want a white savior complex being held over your head the rest of the game. But I need to speak on this too because in my opinions, Terrence and Monty had a valid point. If Michael and Brittany want to create the narrative that they think all this anti-black rhetoric is so bad, if Michael knows for a fact that Turner specifically wants Taylor out more than Brittany, why didn't Michael use the veto on Taylor this week? That's the $750,000 question. Michael, if you truly are so sincere, if you claim this gameplay, if you're claiming you're not using racism for strategic purposes, if you claim you're just doing this because it's the right thing to do, surely the follow-up play would be to take off the actual target of the HOH, not the pawn of the target. Is Brittany now all of a sudden black? Huh? What's going on here? Huh? Did she get a spray tan overnight? Huh? Brittany acted like more of a victim all week than Taylor did on the block, even though all the edit did was show Taylor crying at the table. Let's talk about that. And see, Brittany, she's spooked because Terrence and Monty done called her out for her performative actions. And now she's trying to act like, oh, and understand that's why they wanted that white alliance to pop off, because they know black players, rightfully so, done clock their asses. Hit dogs gonna holler, coach. But for Michael to create the narrative that what he's doing is for the betterment of the game, trying to even the playing field, Kyle is so wrong, he's so much better than Kyle because he was willing to take a stand. But then you literally listen to Taylor's magnificent speech, by the way, and this is another reason why I'm salty that we have a cliffhanger. Now, we get 2 Taylor speeches tomorrow night, which is never a bad thing, but still, I would have liked a speech a night. You know, let's have something to talk about tonight. From what I'm hearing, it was a fantastic speech. For Michael to decide, yeah, fantastic speech, Taylor, but you're too much like the black Janelle. I'm still going to use it on Brittany. All it does, Michael, is tell black fans and the black players in that house you didn't trust them to vote to keep Brittany over Kyle. Because at the end of the day, coach, let's really keep it a bean. If all you wanted was Kyle to touch that block, it shouldn't matter who on the block next to him. Shouldn't matter. And Taylor, I need you to see, if Michael is willing to grift this hard but not use veto on you at the same time, you will never be valued as much as Brittany. Therefore, you need to value someone outside of those two. We're getting to that point in the game, Taylor. You can't just be in a trio with them to the end of the world. Neither one of them is taking you to Final 2. Brittany's willing to lose to his white ass than you. There's a reason why Brittany had all this energy for Jasmine all season from girls, but not Alyssa. Think about it. There's a reason why Turner this entire season has only been after black women, huh? Ameerah, Jasmine, Taylor. But these are the people tonight acting like, oh, everything Kyle was about, I don't condone that. You literally did it just in a more codified manner. What are you talking about, coach? Are you kidding me? So what you got to understand is a lot of people are throwing Kyle under the bus, hoping they can dodge the smoke. They can hit you with that temptation slide. You feel it, dig me? I know you want to leave me. They own that, coach. They own that. But listen, the smart fans, we see through it. All right, I'm on my way to answer y'all questions now. I just wanted to get that off my chest, but understand, the proof is in the pudding. And like Monty said this week, I believe in actions, not words. And what's so disappointing about you, Terrence, is you'll agree with Monty that you're about actions, not words. But you'll literally keep giving Kyle second chances based off words and not any action. You'll treat Joseph like shit despite him putting some action behind his words. And then earlier in the episode, you said, was it earlier this episode or was the last episode on Sunday? He said, I'm going to let this record spin. You okay with letting the record spin when it's some anti-black shit popping off? Oh, yeah, you let the music play. You feel a dig me, coach? DJ Hero settings. PS3. But the minute the white man becomes the scapegoat for all of the problems, now all of a sudden you want to do some slow jams, Kanye West, Jamie Foxx, Marvin Gaye, Luther Vandross, a little Anita. You look crazy, Terrence. You look crazy, dog. I gotta keep it real, bro. You habitual line stepping to the highest of degrees. All right, I'm on my way to the live chat now. I had to get that last part off my chest. There's a few things that I forgot to mention that just came to my head as soon as I was ready to answer questions. Man, I'm telling you, man, a lot of people are exposed this week. And see, this is why I told people there's only a few people I'm rooting for at this point. They made it easy. I mean, come on, man. Like for real, bro. I'm supposed to act like because this guy held on to information for 2 weeks and he finally let it out now. He's that dude. Stop it. Imagine the amount of trauma Taylor had to deal with for those 2 weeks because he didn't say nothing. Imagine if Michael would have revealed Kyle's game during Taylor's HOH week. I'm sure that would have altered how Kyle would have looked if he didn't use that veto. Listen, no matter how you shake it, Michael, you led to the majority of Taylor's trauma the past 2 weeks. The reason why she felt so heartbroken seeing Joseph turn gray is because of you, Michael. And what I don't like is that from Taylor's point of view, Michael and Brittany can do no wrong simply because at the beginning of the game, when everyone thought it was easy to stump her out, they extended their hands a little bit to her. Listen, I get that. Black people, like I said, we are about loyalty. But with that also being said, Michael and Brittany keep showing you you're the third wheel. At a certain point, Taylor, you got to go and look for where the grass is greener. All right? And that's just how I feel on that. I agree, Sar Julius. None of it is real. And see, that's the thing. Production ain't being real either. They want them Paramount Plus subscriptions to shoot up. You feel it? Dig me. But with that said, I commend them for having the awareness to understand they needed to let Kyle go. They needed to Cam Newton his ass this week. You feel it? Dig me. Listen, man. Sometimes you got to sacrifice 3 monsters for an Egyptian god card. You know what I mean? It is what it is. And in my opinion, they needed to sacrifice Kyle for a better late game. You know, when you got Spoiler Girl out here trying to create excuses for why Kyle should stay over Taylor, it tells me everything I need to know. It tells me there's a lot of entities close to production. Because keep in mind, Spoiler Girl all season said, oh, production cares so much about how Taylor's treated. You know, the same production team that notified people about the optics, but don't notify black people about the optics. But now that black people are aware of the optics, now they're putting Terrence up to cop an extra please for white people. You see that? You see that? All this does is prove to me Terrence is still an extension of production because he's still fighting too hard for what production would want by letting Kyle off the hook. Now Kyle can make it seem like because he was ignorant he did these things, not because he actually wanted to do them. You know, and that's the real problem. And for Kyle to be so rattled after being exposed that he would be in that DR for a couple of hours, literally on feeds, he was gone for hours. Okay, I'm telling you, young Marty settings activated. You feel it? Dig me? I'm talking paranormal activity. You feel it? Dig me? I'm talking Manchurian Candidate settings. You know, shout outs to Denzel. He looks crazy. All right, for this guy to disappear, like where's Waldo for hours? Come out the woodwork, look like Audrey from BB17 with a blanket on his head and a comforter around his neck. The man looked crazy, dog. Okay? He looked crazy. He looked like a vagabond. The only thing he needed was a stick and a bag on the end. He looked crazy. He looked crazy. For real, though. He looked like a pig in a blanket. Exposed. I'm just saying. He looked ridiculous. And then for this guy to have a meeting and then out all of these people, can't even fall on his sword to guarantee a white winner. He said, hey, if all y'all white folks gonna be on off code, I'm not gonna stay on code. That dude took the pin out the grenade, threw it on the ground, and tried to detonate the whole living room. Damn! And the black folks picking up the pieces. You feel it? Dig me, coach? You feel it? Dig me? So, listen, man. I thought this week was going to be shambolic because Turner decided to win an HOH he didn't need to. only for Turner to be put in the Geno position of having to evict his day one final two because he didn't have no choice because Kyle outed him. And now Turner has admitted on feeds he regrets getting rid of Joseph. So the Jounin's justice is at an all-time high even further because even Turner has admitted he did his boy dirty. A lot of people to this day swear by Turner making the right decision by not forcing that tie. But like I said, Turner not forcing that tie, him not showing the 7 he was still aligned to them, was another indicator that he was trying to backdoor Michael with his initial noms. I'd argue him not forcing that tie forced him to target Michael, and that's why Monty's great gameplay, pushing him towards targeting Michael, making it that much easier, making him believe Monty's not keeping the score, even though he clearly has the scoreboard on his lap. It's exactly why Monty, in my opinion, deserves first place in the power rankings this week. I got to keep it a bean with you. Now listen, I believe Michael deserves a close second because his game was on the line. But I do believe if Monty doesn't play as well as he does, his game would have been on the line, and Kyle's game would be perfectly fine. So no matter how you shake it, Coach, Monty is the prince who was promised this week. Don't buy the edit tomorrow that will try to make Michael into a white savior. Understand, there were a lot of different entities that contributed to this, but in my opinion, once again, I am a cause and effect merchant. I believe Monty's cause led to Michael wanting to be the effect. And now you get to see the effect with Kyle being on the young Marty side of the game, using the white girl crying technique, trying to act as if his trauma somehow usurps Taylor's, as if Taylor, who is the victim of what Kyle did, should feel worse for him than she should feel for herself, knowing he did her that dirty, despite forming the 7 to not do her dirty. Understand, in Taylor's mind, she knows for a fact Joseph was done dirty behind the racist gameplay. That makes it hurt more, you know? Knowing she didn't get to say goodbye to him because of that racist gameplay. Knowing that production didn't allow Joseph to say goodbye because they didn't want this to get out on Kyle. Understand, production may have made a business decision this week, but they tried to avoid the business decision altogether. Just like Michael. See why he's the apex pet now? Birds of a feather flock together. Tempest asked the question. By the way, don't forget to smash that like button, ladies and gentlemen. I'm giving y'all the truth tonight. As you all know, like I always do. Tim asks a question, do you support my theory that Taylor can beat Michael in the end? I think it's possible. Mainly because I think what Michael did, Kyle is going to want to reward Taylor. He's not going to want to reward Michael for that. And if Kyle's willing to reward Taylor to rebrand himself, Turner kind of is forced to. You know what? There could be a scenario where even though Michael won all those comps, he loses to Taylor simply because he decided to hold on to that information too long. I think if Michael would have outed Kyle during Taylor's HOH week and got out Alyssa that week before the double, and he still would have made final 2 with Taylor and not done Joseph that dirty, I think Michael still wins because he found a way to make the end without being racist himself. But I think because Michael decided to play this way, Kyle going to the jury house, him being forced to confront Joseph, which should be juicy TV next week. Oh, we might not get to see it because it might be a double next week, but I hope we get to see that interaction. Production, don't doctor that up. I want to see Kyle reveal. Matter of fact, I want to see y'all play the tape, right? And I want the tape to not be edited at all. I want it to have all the juicy stuff. That way Joseph, Indy, and Jasmine can just look at Kyle like with that stink face from the new guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's you, bruh? You know what I mean? That's what I want to see. I want to see Kyle have to admit to what he did, which not only ruined Joseph's game, but ruined his own. I mean, tonight, Kyle's telling the whole world, the Dire Fest, the best thing to happen to my game. It saved it. I don't know about that. I think if anything, the Dire Fest just made it easier for you to be viewed as a racist. Jay Griff asks the question, what do you think of the cookout members, Kylan, Tiffany, and Azza caping for Kyle? I don't think it's a good look, but you got to understand, in my opinion, Tiffany, and this is going to be a hot take. I'm not trying to be divisive. This is just my perspective on it. I think for Tiffany to decide to show up during a Veto episode during a week where 2 people of color went home was selfish. In my opinion, Tiffany sees Taylor getting more attention than she got, even though she played a better game. I think it's natural for certain people to be a little resentful. I'm not saying she's 100% envious, but I'm just saying I don't know, man. Let's be real. No one's watching that challenge show she was on. It's irrelevant. That's why I never covered it. I knew what it was. Taylor is taking the world by storm. She's got Lay's sponsorships. I'm not trying to pit black women against each other, but for a black woman to go out of her way to support Kyle after what has happened, that's a terrible look to me. It's a terrible look. Terrible look, especially when Tiffany was the tophogeny merchant, right? How much misogyny has Taylor had to deal with because of Kyle on top of the racism? All of that should be swept under the rug, though. And keep in mind, Tiffany's the one currently on a white man's channel doing content, not on her own black-owned channel, on a white man's channel. So, and she defended ED as well. So you got to understand, a lot of these things aren't the best of looks. I'm just being as constructive with my criticism as possible, and thank you for your question. But you always have to ask questions of someone doing videos with Brittany Renner online. I don't know if your head is on. I don't know if you're focused on the right things right now. You're defending Kyle and you're defending Brittany Renner. Not the best heel I would like to die on personally. But let's continue. Another question from Jacob Larson. If Michael didn't win Veto, do you think Turner still would have put up Kyle? No. Michael had to win that veto, Jacob. Absolutely. He had to win the veto. If Michael doesn't win that veto, he's on the block, coach. All right? Because if he doesn't win it, Turner wins it because he was second place. And if Turner wins it, he uses the veto, likely on Brittany. He backdoors Michael to make sure Michael leaves. But I don't know. I think in that situation, Turner could use veto. Well, I guess for his story, he would have to. No, I think he would use it on Brittany instead. He said he trusted her the most out of the three of them. So he would use veto on Brittany. He would take her off. He would have Michael on the block next to Taylor, and that would ensure Taylor stayed over Michael. Michael's gone. So that's what I think would have happened if Michael didn't win veto. I think it's pretty safe to say. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, smash the like. We deep in here. We too deep. Facts, Boston girl. It's a dumb excuse. You feel me? Like, let's keep it all the way a bean. You know, the majority of black people grow up around black people. That doesn't give us an excuse to be racist outright. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't give us that excuse, right? And Kyle has no excuse for the game he played because, once again, he could have made Final 7 without having to play racist. That's the important detail. Everyone wants to act like, oh, what did he say that was that racist? Provide for me a quote. Yeah. Hey, man, this ain't Carfax. I don't got to provide you with a damn quote. But what I will provide you with is the truth. And at the end of the day, that man had an easy road to Final 7, but he was scared he couldn't rise to the occasion in that situation. That's just the truth. You know? It's tough, but it's the truth. Oh, by the way, congratulations to Taylor for winning the Reality TV Award for being the favorite reality star. I want to give her credit for that. I think that was on E. I think so. I posted it in my community post in case y'all haven't seen that. Big shout outs to Taylor. That's a big W for her. I don't know that many women from Big Brother that win that award, and that could also be contributing to maybe why some alumni are defending Kyle and by proxy hating on Taylor. I'm just saying. I ain't hear about that award during 23, but I'm hearing about it now because of Taylor Hale. You got to understand, there's a lot of people that can't grasp what Taylor's doing that makes so many people like her, and they can't grasp what so many people didn't necessarily like about them. But the truth is, a lot of people liked a lot of things about other people too. It's just Taylor's time. Stop hating. It's that simple, bro. It's her time. You know, it is what it is. And Monty is starting to gather some steam, and it's starting to become his time if he keeps playing it the way he's playing it. But he could also go home next week as well. I mean, listen, anything's possible next week. Tori says, Coach, I watched your first rant today. Crazy to see you so young already spitting facts. Crazy how they won't let a black man shine. You already know what it is. You already know what it is. Go ahead, Tori. I appreciate you. You already know what it is, man. I'm thankful for the community I have, man. Because when it comes to the truth, when it comes to the BS, y'all see through it. We all see through it. And that's why I'm always going to show up to bring balance to civilization for y'all. Chuck, I think it's a mixture of both. I think Terrence, from a strategic standpoint, he may believe Kyle is the only one he can beat in Final Two. I'm willing to admit that much. But once you find out a man has been playing a racist game to the point where he didn't want no one black to even scratch Final Two, I think it's time for you to pick someone else for your Final Two. And here's my honest opinion. If Terrence were to figure out a way to drag Alyssa to the end, he could win the game because Kyle got exposed as racist. You think anybody wants to reward Kyle Showmans with the W? So in my opinion, Terrence should be willing to scrap Kyle knowing he could have Alyssa to himself. I don't understand Terrence. I don't understand. He could still win this game next to Alyssa in Final Two, but it's a lot harder to drag Alyssa to Final Two if you're Terrence. Hence why he wants Kyle there to drag them both there. I see it. But I do think Terrence could be quite a wild card down the line because he has a good memory, a really good memory. I saw him talking to Monty early on feeds. He remembered the fact that Kyle and Michael only competed in one comp. Well, no, he remembered that Kyle and Michael never competed against each other in a single veto all season. So every veto Kyle won, Michael wasn't in. Every veto Michael won, Kyle wasn't in type stuff. So yeah, he has a really good memory. But yeah, I definitely believe the same way Kyle has no excuse to be playing the way he's playing, I believe Terrence has less of an excuse to be defending Kyle now that he knows how Kyle was playing. See, Terrence's excuse for weeks was he doesn't know what's going on. Give him the benefit of the doubt. Even then, I didn't like what he was doing because I thought he still should have seen Joseph was more of an ally to his game than anyone else. Now that he knows the strategy that was going to be played before Michael outed it, I don't know how he can have anything but regret over what he did to Joseph. The fact that he's willing to push to Monty, it might be better to keep Kyle, is actually him telling me he hates Joseph more than all them white people in that backyard did. Because in theory, Terrence, the guy who approached Taylor, lying on Joseph's name, saying Joseph wasn't shit, as a black man, as someone who really wants to protect black women, I really do believe Joseph needed to go for all the things he was willing to throw you under the bus for. Just for Kyle to be exposed as racist and for you to go be Mr. Second Chance 24/7 with him? But I thought you said as a black man, you hated the way Joseph did Taylor. Now you want Taylor to go home over the racist white man who got out Joseph? When the truth is, Joseph didn't do Taylor dirty at all from the start. It was Kyle all along. And no matter how you shake it, it's as if Terrence doesn't understand the stuff that he's saying now doesn't add up. And that's why Monty is reevaluating Terrence like, how could he still want Kyle to stay after all of this? You know what? Terrence might need to go next. You feel dig me? And this is why you're starting to see the streets starting to open up to Monty more. Because they see, now that he has the information at his disposal, the juxtaposition, the way he is reacting to this information compared to how someone like Terrence decided to react to that information, it has done nothing but earn Monty a lot of points with people. Because even the Puerto Rican in him wasn't willing to offer pleas to Kyle for this fuck shit. And for that reason, I can respect it. Monty not gonna look a rebrand in the face and not take it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not no fool. Terrence, he'll look a rebrand in the mouth and go, nah, I'll pass. What? Production must really make him think he's loved beyond belief here. I don't know. He must think he's got a Lay's sponsorship. I don't know. What's next? Terrence got a Vintner sponsorship? Huh? Shout out to my Chicago people, huh? He have a Crunchy Curl sponsorship? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? It's crazy. It's crazy. Edwin says the blatant disrespect of his own kind by Terrence, a.k.a. DJ Shuck and Jive, is astonishing. Listen, man, I told y'all he's DJ no time until further notice. I told y'all. See, DJ? Ain't no one saying, that's my DJ. Go, DJ. Ain't nobody saying that right now, coach. You know what I'm saying? And you did it to yourself. And it's hard to witness. It's hard to watch. Isaiah says it's sad because Xavier and Big D are so on code, and yet fans still hate them. I agree with that, but I think the reason why this season is so important, Isaiah, it shows people how bad they thought those brothers were. They weren't that bad. And I always knew that. And that's why I wasn't part of that group trying to stump them out either. I've never been someone trying to stump people out unless they truly deserve it. And let's be real, Kyle deserves the Timberland boots to the face right now. It is what it is. Jay Griff asks question, why do you think fans overlook Michael and Brittany's mess when they are just as complicit? I think fans overlook their mess because they were the first to technically put their arms around Taylor. So they'll be the ones with the most benefit of the doubt, the most leeway, the most rope. I look at it as that simple. I think if Michael and Brittany weren't the first to put their arms around Taylor, I think they would be getting completely lambasted. Now, with that being said, they're still being held accountable across the board. Don't get it twisted. It's not as if people are copping pleas for them to the most of high degrees. In fact, everything I've seen shows me Michael, Brittany, Kyle, Alyssa, and Turner all in the 52 fake out. All of them are in trouble. All of them grifting isn't working. And that's why, in my opinion, for production, the best possible scenario, honestly, is to make sure Taylor, Monty, or Michael win. If one of those three don't win this season, the season was wasted. The opportunity was wasted. Listen, Michael's the one white person I can become okay with winning now. Now, here's the thing. Turner taking out Kyle, it makes me want to be okay with him winning. But him acting as if he didn't know anything about this all-white alliance until now. Him not going out of his way to expose it weeks ago like Michael just did. Let's be real. Turner could have exposed it, but he was all about the final two. Right? So, no matter how you shake it, coach, no matter how you shake it, there's no honor among thieves. And a lot of these players robbed Joseph of a fair game. They tried to rob Taylor this week of a fair game. And only because Monty started off this week so well and snowed and misted so many players into not being anti-black temporarily, only then did we see some white-on-white crime pop off. That's the truth. And that's not what the edit necessarily is telling, but it's the truth. Trust me, the plan was Monty. But when Monty played it off so smooth, they was like, I can't make sense out of targeting him. He's still with us. We'll let him make Final Five. Man, that's some exceptional one type gameplay right there. That's high praise. Shout outs to Adamsville. They asked the question, Coach, should Taylor target Turner next week if she wins HOH, or should she throw it all? Taylor should not throw another HOH the rest of the season, first of all. Second of all, yes, I believe Taylor should prioritize Turner or Terrence going next. End of story. The reason for that being, Alyssa doesn't win comps. With Kyle leaving, she's much less of a threat. And me personally, I think Alyssa's another person Taylor can drag to the end. If not Brittany, Alyssa's a great person to drag to the end. She wins the game. I think Brittany might view Alyssa as the only person left she can beat because the game has gotten so racist. And see, that's the thing. You know, I might be talking myself into Taylor taking out Alyssa. Honestly, but see, that's the thing. I think Taylor can beat Brittany, so she don't need Alyssa. So I think for Taylor's game, Alyssa needs to go to make Michael and Brittany need Taylor more. Does that make sense? Because see, what I'm worried about, especially now that Michael and Brittany are open to this new white alliance, I don't even know if it has a name, but because Turner and Alyssa seem to be loyal to Terrence and Monty, I don't even know if that white alliance is going to work necessarily. And everything that I've read tells me Alyssa is still holding on to some type of a grudge with Taylor. She just can't say it no more because Kyle got exposed. So now she's got to play nice. But yeah, I think next week is going to be very interesting. But listen, man, production, man, I ain't going to lie, man. If I could look at the stock charts, man, the stock is booming for September after tonight. I'm telling you, once Kyle hit the block, stock was booming for Paramount Plus. They eating next month. You feel it, dig me? You feel it, dig me? Deborah asks question. Okay, that wasn't a question. She says, Taylor remained righteous even with everything she had to endure. Taylor is the lady. Exactly. Brittany she didn't show that same type of, she didn't show herself to be the same level of rock on the block. In fact, she allowed the narrative to be it was Taylor's fault that she was on the block. Now, here's the thing. Production provided a flashback. Joseph, once again, did give up Taylor, which did expose some truth of what Taylor tried to implement with Brittany, Michael, and Joseph. I could see why Brittany would be mad at Taylor. I could see why. I could see all of that. But for Brittany to still be going out of her way to bash Joseph post being taken off the block by Michael on them feeds, it just shows Brittany and Michael had a problem with Joseph that was deeper than the game, similar to Kyle. And all this grifting is for naught, because at the end of the day, Taylor's still on the block. Why are you telling her how much Joseph ain't shit when you're off the block now, Brittany? See, if Michael would have used the veto on Taylor and then Brittany was just ornery about things and she was still wanted to bash Joseph, that's one thing. But for you to be completely safe and then you want to bash the guy that this girl is cool with to her face after you set him up to fill a week ago, but now because you exposed one white guy, you think all of a sudden you can bash a person of color now because you got house money. I don't know. I feel like all of that is pretty disgusting because there's a time and a place for everything. They showcase the ability to understand the concept of that by waiting 2 weeks to expose racism. But now when it's time for the right time and place to bash Joseph, all of a sudden we don't want to filter. Oh, let's just say it now. I don't know, man. I feel like the dislike towards Joseph is really misplaced. And now of all times, Brittany and Michael should realize they made a mistake trusting Kyle over Joseph, so why bash Joseph now? It's just stupid, man. And if Brittany expects Taylor to stay loyal to her for the rest of the game, why is she still hating on Joseph? Bad gameplay. No matter how you shake it, coach. Listen, I got to keep it a bean across the board here, all right? A lot of these players aren't playing well, and that's why it's so entertaining. I just got to keep it real. You know what I mean? Tori asked a question, did you ever take debate classes or public speaking? Your views or arguments are so compelling. Yes, I used to do public speaking and some debate team stuff a little while in college, but it led to a weird situation that patrons know about, and that's why I stopped. I'm gonna leave it at that. Patrons know what I mean. But yeah, y'all seem to be enjoying this rant a lot. I really appreciate y'all's support tonight. Please don't forget to smash that like button. I'm still scrolling up and down trying to see if y'all got any more questions for me. A wealthy black Southerner says he or she does not know why Kyle destroyed his alliance. That's what Kyle does, okay? You know how Tyler is called Tyler the Creator? Well, this guy's name is Kyle the Destroyer. You feel it, dig me? That's who he is. He creates things to break them up, right? I wouldn't be shocked if Kyle's one of them kids with a magnifying glass just burning ants. He comes off that way. He just likes seeing things burn down to the ground. It's the truth. On the Randy Orton side of the game. He's just trying to burn it down. Or am I thinking of Seth Rollins? Y'all know what I'm saying. At the end of the day, he giving them Soldier Boy vibes off. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, Turner backdoored Kyle already. He will be going after Kyle tomorrow. Unfortunately, y'all didn't get to see the backdoor yet, but Kyle is on the block next to Taylor. Kyle will be leaving tomorrow. If not by a 5-0 vote, it will at least be a 4-1, 3-2 vote. I'm hoping it's a 5-0 so the whole house in solidarity can tell the world, we ain't with this Stone Age shit no more. Bye-bye. That's what we need to see. We need the future players of this game and BB25, BB26 that are shown this season. We need them to see how Kyle was done for being a racist fool. We need to see how people are treated for turning on an alliance people like for the sake of overplaying because you don't want to give someone who doesn't look like you a chance at Final Four. We need to make examples of these people so the game can become less toxic in the future. So alliances that are multicultural, multi-ethnic, multi-oriented can be the future of not only the society of Big Brother strategy and gameplay and alliances, but the future of society at large. You know, if we truly want this game to be a microcosm of life, let it show us the way. Let us have these alliances with different people from different walks of life work together. Let them be the role models for the kids to follow behind. Why must the kids experience BB21, BB15 just because the apex pet is white? Trust me when I say there is more positive that could come out of a week like this for the kids of today if they see Kyle being thrown into the hacksaw for his actions. Because it will show kids there are ramifications for being this way. Up to this season, there hasn't been real ramifications for being like Kyle. Up until this point, the Kyles of the world who were the super fans of yesterday, all they saw was racism get rewarded. And this is why the spoiler girls is trying to justify racism being rewarded second place. You got to understand that. And that's why it's important this week of all weeks to make an example. That way the future player knows I can't afford to play that way. There is a higher frequency. There is a higher level of gameplay I need to demand of myself. I cannot rely on being racist to make the end like my white forefathers of yesteryear's Stone Age. I need to be the well-evolved player of the future in this golden age that can work well with anyone from any walk of life to truly prove I am as good as anyone else. And that's why I believe, if done correctly, if the cast is picked correctly, we can have better winners moving forward than even the past 20 years, because those players will be playing all on hard mode, all on expert mode, because everyone has a fair shot. That's all I've ever been asking for. That's why I started this channel. That's why I started this content. Because all I ever wanted was to see people who look like me have a fair shot at things. And now we're finally seeing people being put to the fire for being bigots, which should incentivize other players in the future to not follow in that path. And that is never a bad thing. And if anyone's telling you the opposite, they've been part of the problem all along. I'm Dave Smith with Recency Bias Radio, where no one is safe from criticism, and this has been my 27th rant of the season entitled Jounin's Justice. I couldn't be more proud of Taylor for keeping her composure on the block, even during all of the gaslighting and microaggressions of the week. I'm very impressed with Monty for seeing Michael and Brittany for who they are, but also understanding that Kyle still needs to leave, that Kyle shouldn't be rewarded just because Michael and Brittany also ain't shit. You have an opportunity here, the same way Taylor had during her HOH week, to get rid of Alyssa for taking away her trip. The same excuse is provided this week to get rid of Kyle. Game reasoning for targeting people is so hard to come by, you must bite at it when you have the opportunity to do so. It's good to see that this house isn't copping pleas for Kyle like they did for Alyssa a couple of weeks ago. And because of that, this season just might be one of the better seasons in the history of Big Brother. So far, so good. Because every time I've been willing to write this season off, it's found a way to bring itself back from the dead. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to smash that like button and share this rant with all the fans of Big Brother 24 that you rock with. And I'm going to see you all tomorrow night for another one, all right? Deuces. Until next time. The Shadow Realm awaits your presence, Kyle. Production had to make a business decision. They finna get that Mon Juan. And there's one thing for sure, you ain't touching no bag.